back, everyone. Welcome back to something a little bit different, something a little bit special. Welcome back to a Duckling viewer replay cast, your sporadic dose of replay action. Let's go. I'm of course ZvZ with you, and joined by these amazing players, by the people in chat, and by my plushies as well. Welcome one and all. As this morning we are catching up with some viewer submitted replays. For those that are curious, there is a way to redeem replays in the chat with your points, with your channel points, I should say. So with your channel points, I believe it's 10,000. I think it's 10,000 points to have a replay redeemed. And throughout the course of the past almost 2 months now, we've been accumulating replays, and we got a lot to get through, papi. Let's go, papi, let's go. I remember we tried to host a viewer replay stream last week, but unfortunately the schedule didn't quite line up. More events were announced, and we had to just go through all the events as best as we could. But this week we actually have a free morning. This week we have a free morning to go over these replays and to catch up on what has been, or what the viewers have been up to. Let's go, papi, let's go. So for now, I do have seven matches lined up for us here. Depending on how long we go, we might be able to add a couple more towards the end. We'll see how long some of these matches are going to be, as most of these are going to be ladder games. We have a couple of team games in here as well. We have like a 3v3 mixed in. It's the 3v3. For now though, we do have our initial ladder 1v1 game between RaGnaR and Krulos. Going to be a ZvZ on a pylon. Let's go. Let us jump on in. Let's jump into our ZvZ. But again, hope you've all been doing well for yourselves. We just wrapped up with the Sparkling Tunic Cup last night. This evening we don't have a cast, so we're going to have the evening off, thankfully. It's been a while since that's happened, and I do have to catch up on VODs. I have to catch up on editing VODs and scheduling VODs as well for YouTube for sure. But here we go. We're jumping into our first game this morning. In the bottom right hand corner of pylon, we have the red Zerg player. We have the red Zerg. We have the ladder hero himself. It is a Krulos. And spawning in the top left hand corner, we have the blue Zerg player. We have the Australian Zerg. It is RaGnaR. Here we go. Also, shout out was in the chat. I see Jimmy, sees icons as well. 089508 and many others. Bienvenidos here as we are getting into our first of many viewer replay games. First, we have our initial hatch first out of RaGnaR. Krulos going for a bit of a delayed hatchery instead. Interesting. So we're going to be settling into our initial games. When it comes to ZvZs, we'll keep an eye on early gas timings. We'll keep an eye on tech timings as well. When it comes to the Bailey Nest, the Evo Chamber, the third base, the Roach Warren, whether we pull out, whether we stay in gas, we'll keep an eye on our players, as we do have interesting both players going for a hatch into a pool into delayed gases. Interesting. Gas now on the way for Krulos. RaGnaR, he may opt to go gasless here based on what we're seeing. So it looks like a gasless opener out of RaGnaR. Oh, there we go. Gas is just now being taken. Now, because the gas geyser is so late, this typically means that we might just skip link speed, wall up on 2 bases, and go 2 base Roach. That would make the most sense. That's typically what's seen off of pool first openers or delayed gas openers. From the side of Krulos, again, his gas was a little bit earlier here, so he could still maybe try to get away with link speed. Otherwise, it would not surprise me if our 2 players did decide to delay and go into 2 base Roach play instead. At the same time, of course, the level play is a little bit lower here between our 2 players, so we might just be kind of stumbling into the early game, maybe not going for the most efficient openers, but kind of heading into a standard direction anyway. We don't want to read too much into it. For now, we are going to be joining. Going to be saturating. Krulos does start a couple of Zerglings here, as he is going to be unfortunately skipping or missing some macro cycles, as we do have some droning too, of course. Queens are about to pop out. And with our first 2 links, we can scout across the map. Link speed is on the way. You can see that Krulos does stay in gas, so he stays in gas. With this, he could get into a more tech-heavy follow-up. Meanwhile, RaGnaR across the map, he is banking gas, so no link speed. We assumed that RaGnaR was going to be going into 2 base Roach, and so far it looks to be the case. Otherwise, link speed would have been on the way by now. That's a lot of links. Yeah, that's 8 Lings here for RaGnaR. That's actually quite a big investment from our Blue Zerg player. Here comes the second gas. So again, our assumption was 2-base Roach. We're leaning heavily more towards that. Otherwise, it could just be 2-base Lair into 2-base Muta. That'll be the other kind of big option here for RaGnaR. And then Krulos is also playing 2-base Roach as well. So the later gas guys are now making sense. Now making sense between both players. Ooh, this is greedy as RaGnaR, despite his opener, despite not having link speed, is going for a third. I would say that typically this is illegal. And because Krulos has link speed himself, finishing up in a couple of moments, and because he should be checking with the Overlord. If he knew what was happening, if he saw the third base, he could make a wave of Lings, move out across the map, and force a cancel. He could very easily force a cancel here. So again, this is a little greed out of RaGnaR. He is getting away with it, but partially because Krulos' Overlord is not quite in position to confirm the timing of the third base. As back at him, Krulos, he's just walling up. Spine Cooler is done. Walling up with his Evo Chambers. Layers are on the way. We don't have an Evo Chamber here for RaGnaR. Interesting. So going into 2-base Muta is still going to be on the table if we take our gases. Things do fan out, and it's going to be droning, going to be saturating. Roach speed has begun. Again, no Evo Chamber, so no upgrades, so this feels a little more committed for RaGnaR, as we're just not really set up for a longer game. We're now going for double Evo Chamber, but these are late. You can see that RaGnaR, he's banking gas. He's banking a lot of gas. Could have gone away with upgrades earlier, but alas, is fully behind upgrade-wise compared to Krulos. He's a bit on top of it. I'll say at this point Krulos can take his gases, and should take his gases. Nice positioning with the queens. Nice defense. Krulos does hold. But yeah, Krulos, he's banking a lot of larva here. There we go. I mean, we saw this before, but he has been unfortunately missing some production cycles here, and as a result, late gases, late droning, it's something that he did kind of miss out on. Even here, still has a lot of larva that could also be droning. We could just drone up as we're still missing drones. RaGnaR getting into his own 1-1 upgrades. Krulos, he could try to hit a timing here with 1-1, but he's playing overly defensive here. We have another Spine Crawler on the way, when at this point Krulos should be making nothing but roaches and expanding, of course, behind this and getting a third base. You can see that Krulos, he has a lot of minerals banked up as well. The reason why the mineral and gas bank is so kind of wonky here and for Krulos is just because of his late gases, right? His gas income was delayed. That was on Krulos when it comes to not droning, when it comes to taking his gases, but right now he should be focusing purely on roach production to hit that 1-1 timing. Honestly, it looks like that timing might just come and go. Krulos is supply blocked as well. He just lost an overlord across the map to the Ravager Biles. And the longer this goes on, the more that RaGnaR is going to catch up in upgrades and overtake in economy. As RaGnaR, his third base is getting fully saturated. RaGnaR has been droning. Krulos' third base is late. He's getting more Spine Crawlers. And again, this is money being invested into not drones and not roaches. So from here, RaGnaR should just be able to outscale. Even though his upgrades were delayed and upgrades were late, it doesn't matter. It's going to be able to catch up. I'm not too fond of the idea of going into +1 melee. I just realized he's going for double attack upgrades, which is less than ideal. Carapace would be a lot more beneficial, especially when we're getting into roach versus roach. So players are building up. As I mentioned before, again, Krulos, he has 1-1. He never started 2-2, and that lead, the upgrade lead that he had, it's slipping away. Slipping away. Oh, taking up into Hydras, throwing down macro hatcheries. Ah, good. He's lacking droning. So a little bit unfortunate here from Krulos. Again, he had a pretty, he had a cleaner start, I would say. Krulos, he had a much cleaner start initially. It kind of fell apart a little bit from there. Wasn't able to deny the third base. Did take later gases, which meant later roach production. Both players have been very passive this game as well. Whereas RaGnaR can just move out. Yeah, and he will. I'm hoping he does. I'm hoping he's not just positioning to claim his base and tech up. Okay. And the Hydrogen all the way, infestation bit. Are both players just gonna back off and just tech up into lurkers? No. No. No rush 20 minutes. Let's go. This is also one of the classic mistakes that you can have whenever you're getting into StarCraft, is because you're not scouting and because you're not actively trying to check what your opponent's up to, you're blindly responding and blindly throwing down spine callers, and you're being a little bit inefficient with how you're spending your money. And this is purely just because Krulos didn't know, right? He didn't know, is my opponent droning? Is he saturating? Is he actually attacking me right now? Like right now, Krulos is working with a lot of incomplete information. Because of that, he's responding in such a way, which is kind of putting him behind. Now taking over the Hydras. So now moving out with Tom and Claw Roaches. There is detection with the main army. Gee, more spine caught. Jesus. Oh god. This move here is killing Krulos because he just doesn't have saturation. He's just throwing away all these drones. Ay. Regardless, RaGnaR is making his way in. I mean, there's not really much to kill here. Let's get a couple of transferring workers. And we'll bleed out some roaches here. A lot of roaches are going down. Oh, and he commits to the fight, so he will lose everything. So better engagement here for Krulos. But he did lose a lot of drones. He did make all his spine callers. He's still lacking gassing, or he's still lacking income in general here. And RaGnaR, he can afford those losses. He can afford a couple of bad fights. Afford it. And we are just not attacking until we max out. Oh boy. If RaGnaR had pushed at any moment in the past like 4 minutes, he would have just killed, would have just broken through. This is also on RaGnaR as well. He wasn't really checking to see saturation, doesn't know just how little economy Krulos has been working with. If RaGnaR was aware, then he would feel a little bit more confident when it comes to pushing out, being more aggressive, being more active, and engaging. So that information battle goes both ways here. Let's go both ways. The 8th Lunker's morphing in. Made it to Lurker Tech. Krulos, he's kind of working his way there as well. Just quite a bit behind. And RaGnaR is max. And now these max, now we should be attacking. Hoping we do. Hoping we do. Por favor. Por favor. Oh, I just realized delayed 2-2. We have 2-2 upgrades on the way. We're getting there. And here comes RaGnaR. Again, he has a superior army. He's got Lurker Tech. Krulos does have detection. He has a couple of Ravagers, but he has no Lurkers himself. Ooh, we have some Infestors on the way, and 17 more Hydras. That's less than ideal. Hydras are more of a supportive unit. You don't want to rely upon Hydras, and yeah, with that, the base is going to go down, and RaGnaR can keep pushing. I mean, he could. Slice the base, rotates around. Pushing into the third is going to be a little bit more difficult due to all these spine crawlers. But all RaGnaR has to do is force a fight within range of those lurkers. Spines are going down. Duckling does graze the army. Oh, the Hydras, they try to push down the ramp, but there are so many lurker shots. And Hydras, they are punished. As RaGnaR, he does pull away. He does replenish his army. Unfortunately, he remaxed, so he has no room to make more lurkers. So he has to trade off a little bit here to afford and to be able to build up his lurker count again. Because RaGnaR took so long to attack, it meant that Krulos is actually catching up supply. He is catching up. So that supply lead isn't quite there, but the bank is. He has a massive bank. Building up his lurkers. And Krulos, I don't think ever got an infestation. Sorry, he never got a lurker den. Go to pits, go to hive, no lurker den here. Likewise, we have no vipers either. You can try to get away with this kind of composition with viper tech as well, but the technical composition isn't quite there for Krulos, whether it's vipers or lurkers. So he should never be able to push into lurkers. He could try to outposition, rotate, hit top right, hit left, and try to attack wherever the lurkers are not. RaGnaR still being very passive. Especially with all these lurkers, you can totally bully the army of Krulos. You can bully him. You can just move in, force him back. Again, try to force engagements within lurkers as well. Within range of lurkers. So RaGnaR, he's playing more scared than he should be. Like he's deterred, he's playing more defensive. He can be more active back. Get in the face. Jesus, that's a lot of aimings. I mean, against a high Hydra count without any lurkers, Banelings, they can work quite well here, unironically. They can actually trade well. There's RaGnaR, he can push in. Lack of bailing speed is going to be an issue. Spiles are connecting. Decent fungal. Oh, but Krulos still fighting within range of the lurkers. Ay, ay, ay. And some of the baitings do connect towards the end. As RaGnar's moving in. Oh. Once again, forcing his way forward. Files, they do connect, but the lurkers don't quite go down. And again, as you mentioned, like, you can, Krulos, he can never fight within range of lurkers. He's just bleeding out too much supply. Bleeding out too much. When it comes to how to counteract lurkers, without lurkers, I mean, you would need lurkers of your own to try to kind of like hold the line, but also vipers. Like you would need your own vipers, and then your opponent makes vipers, and then you get into viper versus viper. That's typically the go-to, where you have like say 12 vipers, groups of 6, and you're like power bombing each other and trying to deal with your own vipers. Here we can see both players going into ultras. This makes less sense. Ultras, they can be tanky, sure, with their upgrades, but it feels like the goal here for Krulos is still to just rush in and rush past, even though he has no melee upgrades either. That's RaGnaR. He does move out with some roaches. Again, he could just move in with the main army and overwhelm, but he's throwing away a bunch of roaches. We have our first Viper. Let's go. It's got a lot of work to do. A lot of work. But yeah, from the side of RaGnaR, there was no need to go into ultras. Like, you can just keep going for like Roach, Lurker, Viper. Just keep building up this army and just break through. Ultras is a big investment into a bit of an, I would say, inefficient supply unit here. I mean, he's far enough ahead where it's fine. Like, right now he can remax with almost anything, and it'll work anyway. He can remax with Swarm Hosts and just pop off with Swarm Hosts and Locust Waves. Whatever he wants. Smurge, Mappy, Smurge. As RaGnaR does move out, does push him between the bases. From here, he can just force his way straight to the natural. Lurkers are a little bit far behind. And ideally, you do want to pull back to actually make use of Lurkers. Lurkers are not really coming into play. There we go. Yeah, and so Jesus, and the Lurkers, they annihilate the Hydras. Again, it isn't about the Ultras, it's about the Lunkers, Pappy. As Lurkers move in. We have a couple of Ultras peeling off into the natural. And GG gets called. RaGnaR, he does take the game. He does take down Krulos. GG. Again, when it comes to the game itself, it does feel like Krulos, again, had a cleaner early game. It was quite greedy of RaGnaR to go for the third base while going gasless early on, so that's something that should be punished, which Krulos was not aware of. Likewise, the Evo chambers were a little bit delayed there, but as is often the case when it comes to a lot of these kind of games here, that we need some confidence back. We need some confidence. Jesus. I would say there was a good, like, what, almost 10 minutes where RaGnaR, he was up in supply, he was up in army, he was up in tech, he was up in composition, and we could just be more active, we could be more assertive there. And unfortunately, it's one of those things where I'm sure there have been some scarring moments in games where you attack, you overextend, you lose your lead, and then you die, and you're like, never again. I'm just stay and defend. And because that opportunity is missed you by, and you actually give your opponent the opportunity to actually recover and take a lead, right? We spoke about it, but despite the fact that RaGnaR was up 40 supply for most of that game, eventually, because of his passivity, we saw that Krulos maxed out. Krulos, he unfortunately didn't have any lurker tech or any further tech to actually make use of, but he did eventually max out and catch up supply-wise, and even was ahead upgrade-wise as well. Regardless, GG, well played. Well played. As that leads us into our next viewer submitted replay from the walk. Let's go.